So with regards to the actual lotions, we've got three factors. We've got the SPF 15, the SPF 30 and the SPF 50. So which one you use is really down to your skin type and how long you can stay out in the sun for. So if you're able to stay out in the sun for 10 minutes without burning and you choose an SPF 15, you can stay out 15 times longer, or say 150 minutes. If it's 30, then it's 30 times longer, or 300 minutes. If it's an SPF 50, 50 times longer, 500 minutes. I'm using the 10 minutes as an example. Obviously every person is different depending on their skin type and their skin tone as to how quickly they can burn. So if you've got somebody who's very, very fair, I would always recommend that they go with the highest factor possible so that they can stay out in the sun longer before they start burning. Similarly with myself, if I'm going out and I'm on holiday and I'm just popping to the shops, then I know, I'm going to be in the sun for a shorter amount of time, so I can put on a lower factor because I'm not going to have that strong sun exposure for a longer period of time. If I'm going out on a boat trip, I'm going to go with the highest factor possible to keep me protected throughout the day. Using an SPF does not stop you from tanning, and I know I get asked this all the time. People say to me, I'm going to use the low factor because I want to tan. Even if you're using the highest factor, you will still tan. It's not going to stop your ability to tan. It will just mean that you can stay out in the sun for longer with protection. And what I find is the higher the SPF I use, the longer I can expose in the sun, the better the tan I actually get. So that is a recommendation that I would always use. Start with a high factor. If you want to drop down, then you can do, but always start with the highest factor and then reduce the factor throughout your holiday, if you like. As I've said, these are for outdoor use. You can use them for indoor tanning for exceptions. If you've got something that needs to be covered, like a mole or scar tissue, some people will actually use it on their face because they don't want their face exposed to the UV, then that's fine. But it's not an indoor use product. This is not something that ordinarily you would use on a sunbed because it is going to reduce the effects of the tanning session. With regards to the lotions and their ingredients, we have Australian ingredients, so we use the cockadoo plum extract. Cockadoo plum is the highest source of vitamin C. It's more than 100 times that of an orange, so very, very rich in vitamin C. Vitamin C is a super antioxidant. It helps eliminate fine lines and wrinkles. It helps with age spots. It also brightens and tightens the skin. And for me to remember that, I always think of an orange being, bright orange, because it's bright, it's brightening the skin. It's a very easy way to remember what the ingredients are. The fragrance Cocoa Dreams is a mix of orange, citrus, banana, rose, coconut and vanilla. It's a fresh, tropical, fruity fragrance. Most people like it, which is why it's been with Australian Gold for over 25 years. The other ingredients that we use, things like aloe vera. Aloe vera naturally soothes and smooths the skin. It's really good for hydration and moisturisation. Now olive oil is really good for the skin. It's readily absorbed by the skin and it utilises every part of it. Olive oil is the closest oil that simulates sebum that we produce naturally. Olive oil is full of oleic acid, which is an essential fatty acid, which is really good for the skin. Another one, tea tree oil. Tea tree oil is an antibacterial, it's an antiseptic, it's an anti-inflammatory ingredient. It's also a pH balancer. So if you've got dry skin, tea tree oil will add moisture. if you've got oily skin, tea tree oil will actually absorb the moisture, so it has a mattifying finish on the skin. It also stops that after tan odour, which you might be used to smelling. You know, if you've got people who are tanning without using a lotion on the sunbeds, you definitely smell the after tan odour. But the tea tree oil, being an antibacterial, will actually help to eliminate that. So when you're laying on the beach, you're constantly feeling fresh, smelling fresh, you don't smell sweaty and horrible. Full of lots of different oils, so we've got sunflower oil, we've got cocoa seed butter, we've got olive oil, tea tree oil, aloe vera, the cockadoo plum. Really, really great ingredients there. Superb for vitamin E. Vitamin E helps with our elasticity, helps to keep our skin supple, also helps with collagen production. So it keeps the skin nice and firm, absolutely wonderful. Another good thing about our lotions is when you topically apply, so you put the lotion on, and I'm just going to put some on for you to show you. The lotion is white in colour, but when you put it on, it's absorbed very quickly into the skin. I've used an awful lot here, but it's being absorbed into the skin. It rubs in nicely. It's not really, really thick. It's very lightweight and hydrating. And it has a non-stick, non-greasy feel. So this is great and a really good USP for Australian Gold, that if you're laying on a sandy beach and you've got someone running past you, kicking a football for example, and you get covered in sand, you can just brush it off and it doesn't stick to you. Unlike other brands where you can actually feel like you're having an exfoliation process, you're rubbing your skin off with all the sand grinding into it. With Australian Gold, you can actually put the SPF on and roll around in the sand, and then it just brushes off, and there's no irritation. It doesn't hurt at all. It's very easily absorbed. It's lightweight, hydrating, and non-sticky, non-greasy. And straight away, I can now feel my skin, my arm feels really, really soft. It's really smooth, but it's not sticky at all, which is lovely. One of the really good things that I love about Australian Gold. As I've said, Cocoa Dreams fragrance, very water resistant, up to 80 minutes before you need to reapply if you've been swimming. Paraben free, PABA free, dye free, gluten free, alcohol free. Now it's very important that products don't contain alcohol if you're a tanner. Alcohol actually dries the skin, and if you're drying the skin, the tan is going to fade very, very quickly. So we don't use alcohol in our outdoor lotions because we want to keep the skin hydrated. Alcohol will actually dry the skin, which we don't want to do. Rapid absorption, as I've already said. Broad spectrum, we've got the UVA and the UVB protection in there in the 15, 30 and the 50. It allows your skin to breathe, which is fantastic. Some people have said to me, I can't use a really high SPF like an SPF 50 because some SPF 50s are actually a sunblock, and when you block the skin, it actually blocks the pores, it stops the skin from breathing, so that causes excess sweat and it can cause blisters or prickly heat on the skin. You won't get that with the Australian Gold SPFs. And if you do suffer with prickly heat normally and you're now using the Australian Gold, you'll find that you won't suffer with prickly heat anymore. So we've got the SPF 30 lip balm. This is predominantly used again for outdoor use, so on your lips, on your nose, anywhere small that needs protection. Again, you can use it for indoor use as well. So, any area that needs protecting. So if you've got any moles, any scar tissue, then I would always recommend that you use this. Anything that needs protecting from the UVA and the UVB on the sunbed. Absolutely fantastic product. It's got the beeswax for making it really luxurious. It's got jojoba oil in there, tea tree oil, which is an antibacterial, sunflower seed oil, cocoa butter, olive fruit oil. So lots of natural ingredients in the lip balm, just to keep your skin nice and hydrated but protected at the same time. There is an expiry date on the lip balm. You'll find the expiry date on the bottom. Is recyclable packaging, so when it's finished with, dispose of, in the recycling. The same as the lotions as well. All of the lotions are recyclable. These don't actually have an expiry date, but they do have on the back of the packaging an open pot and lid symbol, which is 18 months. So from the time that the customer starts using the product, it's good for 18 months. We would say thereafter there is a possibility that the SPF factor may reduce. So where it's an SPF 50, after that time limit, there is a possibility that that factor may reduce to, say, a 45. So it's just to make sure that the person that's using it is protected if they use it within the time limit as shown on the back of the bottle.